our broadcast button. Sooner or later, it's going to say that this broadcast is on there live. And let's return back to live programming with F Sharp, in which I'm building a Get Right app using Xamarin Forms, F Sharp, some domain driven design practice, and this whole notion of specification as a library, hence ride specification, in which it has operations like this for a module before a ride. You have request ride, request price, cancel ride. During a ride module, you have request location. After ride, you have a ride ended response and pay fee. And for account, for its specification library, hence account.specification for its operations, you have add bank card, remove bank card, query bank cards. I kind of feel like query bank cards should probably go before the add and remove. Something like this right here. Okay. Um, and then you have request page, which is specific to this might get upgraded or updated somewhere. Add bank card, error, nah. Attempt add, attempt remove are the structures that harbor these function types. Then you have transactions. So you can pay using a validated card, a price, and then the result of that is going to be a success or failure in which you have a ride receipt or a error description. You query ride receipts, query cancel receipts. Okay, so that's pretty much the gist of things. Now, what I'm currently working on is I'm working on these behaviors. So you have, like, for example, mm, you have like this card number validation behavior, this holder name validation behavior, and this security code validation behavior. And so these behaviors I plan on attaching to each control. And basically, I wanted to provide a user experience of when they, in this case, when they successfully provide data or input data into one of those controls for a add card scenario, that when data is inputted and that data has been validated, then maybe that field will turn green. So, like maybe light green specifically. Um, else, it'll be maybe, is there a light pink? Something like that. And so, how do I how do I want to do this? There, it probably, uh, it's probably bad to duplicate this logic of light pink and light green everywhere, because that means if I decide to change my mind, then I have to go through each file and update it. And so this doing it like this is kind of a maintenance concern, right? And so something that I should probably consider is maybe I'll have, and I'm not sure if it should be at the account.ui scope or at the scope of this application right here. But okay, the application has a dependency on the account UI and all the other stuff. So that account UI can't reference the actual app. So something to consider is maybe in addition to behaviors, we can add a I don't know if you want to call it theme right now. I'm not sure yet, but basically you're going to have this will probably be internal, so we can leave that like that. Get rid of the noise up here, and then we can get rid of that noise down there. And this will be a static class, and we will have a validated entry theme, or you could call it validated entry color. Okay. So in our case, this background color is of type color, so we can say color like here. The color is not going to be recognized, but that belongs to our Xamarin Forms. And we can say, in our case, this is going to be a public. I'm not sure if you could say public inside of a class that's deemed internal. That probably doesn't make too much sense. But you could say public color, validated entry color. And this would be a get set, I guess. And this should complain that, well, you're trying to put this inside of a, you gotta say public static color. Okay, something like that. And we'll probably want to have, and we'll leave it at that for right now. So that's our theme. And so now that I have that in there, then I could probably do something like this is account.ui. And so now I could probably go in here and say, using account.ui, and I can say that this is going to be a theme dot validated entry color. Okay, and we need to set that to equals color dot light green, something like that. So then we can probably say something like invalid entry color. Okay, and that's going to be light pink. Come here. It's going to be light pink like that. Okay. So now the thought process is that, come here, is that now we can have a single point of reference, at least within our account.ui domain, of what validated entry is versus a invalid entry when it comes to the theme color. Okay, you're supposed to be over here, and then we can put you over here. Okay, and it's important that you guys line up card number validation behavior over here, do something like that. It's important that you guys line up. Okay, so I can build that. Now there's something else that's wrong, I think, with these validation behaviors is that I have one attached to and I have one detaching from. And this is an instance of a bindable entry, right? And I don't really like that name, bindable. So let's let's uh let's do something about that. It's an entry. Okay. So you say entry. Uh-oh, what just happened? Start over. Just say entry. Okay. And same thing over here. You can say entry. Okay. And over here, you can say entry. Okay. Now, if we go back up here, and it doesn't like this entry, says parameter name differs in base. Okay, fine. So I get a little warning saying that the parameter name is different from that of the interface. So we'll be consistent with the interface. All right, I'll take that back. Now what? Well, we need to say that the whole point of this is that when data gets when data is inputted, I don't know if that's really a word, but when data is, well, I'll just say when we receive data input into this particular entry control that we call bindable, then we want to run validation on it, right? Every single time a new character gets entered, we want to run our validation to see if we have to see if the current set of characters or data in that entry control is valid, to notify the user that, okay, this is satisfactory if this is your intent. And we want to notify the user that as they're inputting data that it still requires that the data that they currently have in there is invalid until they continue updating the data in that entry until it becomes valid. So that's the intent. I think that in order to accomplish that, then probably need to have a, how does this work? Um, this whole this whole is validated thingy that on attached to should only get executed one time, and that's when the entry is actually being loaded into the XAML, or should I say, when the entry is actually being rendered, this method is invoked, which means that it's not going to get executed whenever data is actually entered on this entry control. So I think what we want to do is, let me see. I think we have inner methods in C sharp now. So you want to say, like, if that is the case, bar on input. Okay. I don't even know if it's not even bar on input. It's void on input, like that. And then maybe we can do something like this over here. Am I allowed to do that? I thought that C sharp had inner methods. Um, I thought C sharp, do I get rid of that equal sign and then do this over here? And it says the function output declared but never used. Okay. So again, I'm used to doing F sharp stuff, but I thought that C sharp now supports inner methods. And if that is the case, then one could say that I could say that for this bindable dot, and then we'll say it's going to be some event, right? Text changed. You can say that this is going to be on input. Now that on input is going to require some parameters. Okay, specifically, let's say on input 1 for right now, just to figure out how this is supposed to look. And it's supposed to be a sender, and then the text change events, text change event args. So it's supposed to look like this over here. Okay, which means that you can get rid of this over here. All right, and this, we're missing semicolon right here. All right, so that should be okay. That should be okay. All this is self-contained within the unattached to, and people may not agree with that style. Honestly, I'm kind of on the bench about that style as well. Having an inner function or just having a private function. Um, I think this is small enough that this is okay. Another something else that could have been done is we could have just had a lambda like this, and then you have like in this case, I don't know if you could actually do this, but you could have like S E, and then you could have something like this, and then you could have something like that, and then we could just throw this in here like that. Only thing is that you can no longer, and this is probably why that logic should be private, you can no longer unsubscribe from the text change event in here. So what I mean by that is we have we have this right here, but maybe this on input, instead of it being an inner function, maybe it should be a let's say inner function. Maybe it should be a private method. Okay, so you have over here this, and so then when we this is going to be a entry, and we'll call this bindable. Oh, no, that's not right. Hold up. Let's call, what's exposed here? New text, old text. Okay. And over here, yeah. So I think I was right. So on input, I think it's safe to say that we can call this entry. We'll call that bindable. And then we can say that this over here will be e dot new text value. Maybe something like that. Okay. Now that doesn't like that because it says that no, this bindable is supposed to be object. The sender is supposed to be object. Okay, so we could say this right here. And then we'll just have to say that our var bindable equals sender as entry. Hopefully something like that. Okay. Which means that in our detach, on detaching from, we could probably do something like this and unsubscribe. Maybe that's the ideal way of handling that. Okay. So we have something like that. Oh, and we're in C sharp, so we do uppercase. Okay. Um, so we just sound like that maybe. And I think that's the way it should probably work. Okay. And so the same thing needs to be done, I think, over here. So you have this, we have this on input. Actually, so this is all going to be the same, right? And so let's Control KC, comment that out, and oh, let's comment the whole method out up here. Control KC. Let's put in this over here. Okay. And we're going to have an on input, which is over here, right? But we don't care about the actual guts of it. We just care about this right here and then closing it. So we'll have something like boom, and then we close it like this. And then we'll have this over here where we'll have, and we'll need to Control KU like that. And so then we do something like that. Okay. And that should be okay. We're saying that first, and yeah, I think that's okay. Okay. So now we have our on input that has this logic up here. Something like that. Okay. So I don't like the way that looks. Something like this. Okay. So now we have our unattached to when we basically add a handler or subscribe and then we unsubscribe on the detaching from. I think that's the way it should probably look. And so all this is kind of the same over here for security code. We follow the same paradigm where we'll have something like this. Okay. And then we'll have this on input shell down here. Okay. And I know I'm missing something. And so here we'll have this over here. And we'll do that. And then we'll Control KU like that. And we'll do that. And that means that we can scroll up here and kill you. Okay. And then we can just unsubscribe down here. The detaching from like this. Okay. And that should be good. Control Shift B. And my OCD says that this should be aligned. And go over here. OCD says that that should be aligned. And up here, that looks straight. Okay. Hopefully I'll have a green build. And 5 succeeded, 0 failed. Run all my tests, which shouldn't be affected. And that is the entry controls, card number, holder name, security code. Now the pickers, I have pickers for a picker control for expiration month and expiration year. If I go to add bank card over here, I have a, let me collapse this. Of course, XAML doesn't comply with control MO, but okay, you have a name, you have a card number, you have a code style, and you have these pickers for card type, right? So that needs to be, I think I need to have behaviors for selecting a card type, selecting an expiration month, selecting an expiration year. That's what I think is left. Okay, so I'm not quite sure how that's going to look. Um, but I could just toss some ideas out. So we'll have a we'll have a expiration validation behavior. Okay. And that might cover both expiration month and expiration year. So this expiration validation behavior, expiration validation behavior, that needs to operate on a picker. Okay. So we'll have picker here and picker there and picker there. No, I'm missing something. Oh yeah, picker here. And I'll go back. And is there anything else? Well, yeah, this text change doesn't make sense anymore. All right, so oh, yeah, you can say e.text. Well, it's not. No, it's no longer e anymore. But I think it's e and then it's new text value, something like that. And let's, well, the expiration is not F sharp, so I can't just move that down here. Let me hurry up and update something that I caught. That's E, and then this is new text value. Okay. Now we go back to expiration validation behavior. And this bindable is what? It should be a, you want to attach to, and select the index change maybe. So maybe that, and of course, that's going to require a, say on input one. Well, hopefully it should be selected index changed, event arcs, you would think if they're following conventions. And it has no clue what that is. So if we say output 1 on here, then we just have event args. That doesn't really help. I don't think that's right. So we'll go back over here. Raise when the value of the selected index has changed. Well, are there any other events? Let me see. There's a unfocused. Is there a way I could just click on here and view view what it supports? How can I just take bindable and just examine? What, do I just have to? Okay. So I'm not sure of a way that I could really examine this for all of its events. You have binding context changed, child removed, child reordered, removed, focused, measure invalidated, property changed. What's up here? Selected index changed. That's it. You only have selected index changed as an event. And when I attempted to do something about that, you just have event args. Okay, so all right, whatever. So over here you have event args. Uh-oh. Okay, so what was let's do this over here. And it's supposed to be event args E. Let's just save this whole thing. And then go back. And over here on input, it says I'm missing, it says event args could not be found. Okay. And so then we can unsubscribe there. And we can say that this is going to be bindable, whatever, as picker. And then all we really need to do right here is say that the invalidated or is validated. Let me start over. The validated variable right here or value right here should just be if our bindable should be like selected index is greater than 0. Is there an index here? Yeah, selected index is greater than 0. If it's greater than 0, then we know that we have an item selected in our list, more than likely. And that's it. All right, so that should be straight. So this expiration validation behavior should apply, well, hopefully will apply for both our expiration month and our expiration year, right? And I think that's it because there's a card number, there's a security code, there's a holder name, there's a expiration month, expiration year. I think that's it for right now. And okay, clean up this UI a little bit. Not the UI, but the imports. And all that succeeds. So then we can commit and say um, updated validation behaviors for account.ui. Commit all and push. Let me see some. Okay, so now what? I got these validation behaviors in here. I think I should be able to apply these behaviors for each of these controls in my form. So I think I should be able to do something like entry dot. Okay, I was hoping IntelliSense was going to come up. Entry dot for behaviors. Okay, and so I need to have a behaviors namespace in here. XML namespace behaviors equals, and all that stuff is just in my, all that stuff is in my behaviors over here. And so I need to create a behaviors instance down here in my XAML. So I say that this is going to be behaviors dot, and then there's a holder name behavior. Okay. And then I say that that key equals holder name behavior. I do something like that. And I can probably just continue and say that there's going to be some other stuff here, such as behaviors, and then there's a card number, validation behavior, and then I can just do that over here. And then there's the behaviors, and that can be a security code validation behavior. So I could do that and throw that over here. Then there's the behaviors, and I can call that a expiration behavior, and that can be over here. Okay, so now we have all this here, and we do that over here, and we do that over here like this. Okay, and there should probably be some separation between our converters and our behaviors like that. Okay, so then we can go and we can say that so there's a holder name validation behavior over here. So in this entry, I have this entry.behaviors, and I'm not sure if I could just say behave. How does this work? How does this work? Okay, so now I have to look up how to do this. How do you work, my friend? And before I do that, I want to see if Odie responded to my message. And he has not responded. Okay, so Xamarin Forms behaviors. Okay. And in here, okay, that's what they have. All right, cool. So theoretically, I should just be able to say behaviors Oh, I didn't know I could just do that. In this case, this is the name, holder name behavior. So I could just do that right there. And if that's the case, then I don't need to have this up here. Okay. So entry.behaviors for that. Now here's a picker dot behavior. Come here, Willis. Picker dot behaviors over here, and I should be able to say behaviors, and I should be able to say expiration validation behavior. No, no, no. This is for card types. I didn't do card types, but that's also a picker. So I just need to rename my mm, I just rename this from expiration validation behavior to picker validation behavior. That's all. Or you could call it selection. Selection validation behavior. Okay. Yeah, we can rename that over here. And then we can, well, it kind of should be picker validation behavior because that's completely different from our, if we had a list view in here or any other control that basically inherits from items control. So yeah, we should probably be specific about this. Okay. And yeah, so we have a picker validation behavior. And so that's right here. Oh, this actually got updated. All right. Not sure why there's a squiggly over here, but we'll continue and we'll just do the same thing over here. We'll say boom, and then boom, and then we'll go to our other picker, which is over there. And we'll say boom, and then we'll do boom like that. And so then we'll revisit our entry behaviors, and we'll say that for our card number, we want to add a behavior to the card number. So it'd be like this right here, and we'll call that card number validation behavior like that. Okay, so then we'll go to our next entry, which is a security code style, and we'll add a behavior to that as well. Called what, Willis? Called security code style validation, something like that. Behavior. Oh, come here. Yes. All right, so then we'll go to our, well, that's it right now. Button is the last one. So we have our la la la. Everything has behavior in here. Everything has behavior in here. Everything has a mother behavior in here. All right, so now what? Um, I think that's it. Let me see. Something like that. Yeah. I don't know if I need that, but something like that. Okay. And Control Shift B to build. Duh. That's building. I'm waiting for this guy to return my message, man. And so everything builds. Okay. I don't think I have any more squigglies. So then I can probably say commit and say that applied behaviors to XAML page for, you could say this add bank, add bank card. Oh, I mean, it's already gonna have the file reference, right? So I don't need to do that. Hit all and push. Now I could try to run this. Control Alt L or Control Alt L. Yeah. In my app.foundation, I could select Android as my startup project, and I could attempt to run this and see if my validations for text changed on any of my entry controls are working, meaning that it should be light green or light pink. And I'm starting to think that maybe light pink doesn't really matter. Maybe maybe I should just keep it white. So it's deploying the emulator. The emulator is up here. And sooner or later, it should be deploying the actual application. The application is now there. Sooner or later, it should be loading the application. Now it's preparing to render the application. And so we'll click new card down here. And theoretically, when I start entering characters, oh, there you go. Scott Nimrod. Oh, you're so beautiful, baby. Look at that. All right. And then, I don't know. Yeah. Oh, yeah. And this over here is one. Oh, yes. Yes. All right. So that is an example of implementing behaviors. Now, what happens when you, uh, uh, there you go. And what happens when you, there you go. And what happens when you, there you go. All right. So, do my tests still pass? Do my tests still pass? Do my tests still pass? My tests still pass. Okay. So this had nothing to do with F sharp, but this did have something to do with behaviors. Okay. And that's it. So I'm killing this right now. Peace.